Hurricane, a tidal wave. Essence perfect, life looks brilliant. Give me more of this. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're firing me, firing me. Yeah, you're firing me, firing me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. Whoa. I can see, I can hear, going crazy for the light. It's got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Can you hold my hand again?
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and happy Sunday to you all. You have landed here at Point of View. I'm Bobby Munson, and beside me, it's my good mate, Mark. Mark talks wrestling, Mark talks gaming, Mark talks football. And guess what? We're here to talk some football here today. Mark, how are you doing?
I am all right. I've just watched a great Formula One race. Took my mind off the depressing fact that England are going to be kicking off in about an hour and just under an hour and a half time, and we will go through. I've just remembered as well. In 20 minutes' time, we will find out the lineup for the England game. So we will dive into that and go into that. But it's Euro talk, and by God, this tournament has been epic. If you're not watching England.
Oh, yeah, for sure it has been. Yeah. Basser joining us here. Good morning, Basser. I mean, man, you're a stickler for pain if you're up like I am right now, buddy, after last night. Just briefly for anybody watching, last night, Prairie Pro Wrestling took place. Basser was there in the audience. I was there, just about took a shit kicking the entire night myself. I narrowly avoided having one of the wrestlers dumped on my head from over the top ropes while filming. I was about half an inch away from taking a cowbell to the face last night. And I got fucking dragon blood all over me because that damn Dixie Dragon spraying his dragon blood all over the place went all over me last night. I got a rain down of dragon blood, and that shit's hard to get to wash out once you get home afterwards. But one hell of a night. It was quite interesting. A very dusty finish to our main event. That's going to spark a lot of controversy. I'm sure of that. Already sparking some controversy online or social media. So it's going to be interesting. We're also joined here by Bobby Stats, Bobby Petito coming in. Bobby, how are you doing this morning? Thank you for joining us. But yeah, Mark, let's talk Euros. Let's chat about Euros because that's what we're here. And we want to make sure that we get as much in as we can before we take off early for watching the England game. Oi, good morning, you wonderful gentlemen. Good morning, Andre. And if you haven't done so already, Andre last night was on our AEW Forbidden Door preview show along with the amazing Lauren Goodnight. I have not seen any of it yet because, again, I was occupied last night, but I will get around to it, Andre. And Bobby's saying he's doing good. Good to hear it. But Mark, since we last chatted about 2 weeks ago, chatted on screen anyway 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we've done a lot of that.
Yeah, we have seen the conclusion of the group stages of Euro 2024. We have now moved on to the round of 16 with games having started yesterday. We got more unfolding today. What are your thoughts on the way things went down throughout the group stages here?
I think it was very shocking. The big teams are not performing. The little teams, as people would say, are coming about. And that's one of the good things about the Euros. And sometimes you'll get with the World Cup. You'll get teams that you don't expect to do well. And I think with the Euros, there was one group, I think it was the Belgium group, where three teams finished on 4 points.
Yeah.
But Ukraine are now the highest point scoring team to never go through in a European Championship. That is just absolutely ridiculous. But for me, the football quality as well. There are a few teams that you would think wouldn't play really, really good football, or teams that have surprised you. But this European Championship, you've got some bangers, and then you've got the big teams. The France are not happy. You've got the manager, France, the country, moaning about the way that the style of play that the French national team are playing, and the coach coming out and saying, well, if you don't like it, change the channel. You've got the Belgians that are unhappy with the performances on there. The English, you've got the Dutch who are booing their players as well. You've got Italy. We'll get into them a little bit more later on. Them having a sort of tournament to forget, from winning the Euros 3 years ago, beating England in the final, to now being dumped out in the round of 16. The downfall needs to be sort of looked at, because that Italian team is not good, and not qualifying for 2 World Cups back to back as well. The Italians used to be a strong force in European football. They may not be winning it, but you always look to the Italians for something.
See, and even going back to when I was a kid too, I believe it was the 1994 World Cup where they ended up in the finals of that too. So they used to be one of the tops in the world, and for them to be at this point in time, it's something needs to be shooken up there over on the Italian team.
Well, they had that match, didn't they, against the French in the final, where Zidane decided to go on his own and headbutt one of the players on the Italian, Materazzi. That was still won't. Even the cat didn't even like the way that Zidane headbutted Materazzi then. But it's just one of those things. It's the Euros, isn't it? It's football. You just never know what's going to happen in an international tournament. But there are some teams that I was shocked at, and some teams who I think are going to go on to this, and especially with certain teams, very worried for England.
I am too, and it's unfortunate, because going into this, everybody was saying that England was going to be one of the odds-on favorite for this tournament, and it's kind of like anytime England goes into a tournament, as strong as they look going into it, it almost seems like they become very reserved when they get out on the pitch. I mean, there's the obvious meme going around about Gareth Southgate's playing style, and the guy who fell asleep watching the previous matchup for England.
They're waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning in the stadium. That's brilliant.
It's hilarious. And I think that's the problem. Is Gareth Southgate the worst manager that could be out there for England? I don't think he's the worst, but the style of play, definitely for the quality of players that he's got, I think is quite lackluster, especially in this tournament, to be perfectly honest. This is what they've got, how many goals this whole tournament, England? What, two? Two. Yeah. And they qualified from 2 draws and a win. And barely. Yeah.
It's one of those things where when I look at the team, if you look at the team in general, the best players that we've got, Jude Bellingham, Phil Foden, Harry Kane, you've got Bukayo Saka, Kyle Walker, John Stone. You take John Stones out of it, all of them have played a minimum 40 games already this season, or 40 to 50 games already this season. So fatigue, and especially with Jude Bellingham as well, going through nearly every single cup competition Real Madrid were in, and then getting to the final, and having that shoulder injury that he's been sort of laying off. If you don't know, look at a picture of Jude Bellingham at the start of the season and look at his shirt around January. You'll see the top half of his shirt will be bigger, because he has a strapping going on, which is holding his shoulder into place during this. And you can tell sometimes that the players are tired. They are very, very tired. And for me, I understand the critique, because I lose my mind sometimes but at the same time, I can't criticize it too much because we're through and we're top of the group. You know, it's one of those things where we've got a game coming up today. If we don't win this and we get dumped out, then I feel this is when I worry for the players, because if you don't know around the history of English football, and you don't understand what happens in international tournaments, the press and the fans become what's the words I can use? Unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the. You look at the last Euros final when we lost. The main players in that team got racially abused. You've got people getting death threats. Look at when David Beckham got sent off in the World Cup. There was effigies of him being hung from lampposts.
Worse yet, there was effigies of his family members. That's the crazy part. And it's like, you know what? Go after the players all you want. They've got thick skin. That's what they've decided to get into. They're used to hearing the worst of the worst. But when you start bringing in people's family, and this just shows how chaotic English football can be, that was the sick part. Like, don't bring Beckham's family into it. They have nothing to do with him back kicking a dude out in the field and taking a red card for England. Was what he did stupid? Yes, it was. But his fucking kids and his wife didn't cause it.
No, but the funniest thing is, the guy that he back kicked is now the manager of Atletico Madrid, Diego Simeone. It's just batshit crazy. So my only worry is just what's going to the effects. But I'm still confident. I don't know why. I don't know if I should be. It's one of those things where I'm still so confident. Like, we'll get it up in a minute. We'll go through the last 16 in a minute. But I still feel like we've just got that at the end of the game, the end of the last game when Cole Palmer, Kobe Manu come on, along with Anthony Gordon, when they all come on, they all did something different. They all did something that made me go, right, now that should be a signal to Southgate. Stick with the team you've got, and then if something's not working up to the 55th minute, you've got those players who can come on and change it. It's not like you haven't got the bench for it. So the only thing that's stopping England right now is Anthony Gordon on a bike, because the Plonker can't ride it, and he's got. If you haven't seen it, it's absolutely brilliant. It's so funny, it's unreal. And I don't know whether you saw a clip that the England staff someone brought Anthony Gordon stabilizers and a helmet for his bike from now on. Oh, I went British humor. It will never be unmatched with that. That's just epic, just absolutely brilliant.
Now, I want to talk about him for a minute because I know I've been able to watch his development, being a Manchester United fan, stuff like that. But Kobe Manu, one of the youngest to field in a Euro Cup tournament like this, not maybe the youngest, but definitely right up there in terms of the age, because he's a young man. What a difference maker he can be and stuff like that. His style of play is quite creative. I mean, to me, he's got a maturity beyond his years when he steps on the field, because if you watched his playing style and then ask someone to guess his age, nobody would guess that this is a teenage kid at all. And, you know, he's fantastic. And like you said, he's a great substitute to bring on to change the pace of the game. He was an instant impact when he came on for England in that last game. He was involved right away. Yes, we didn't end up turning around and scoring, but some of the passes and the connections he was making, or even some of the passes he was making through to Jude Bellingham, which could be a difference maker as well, too, kind of thing. Because if you get somebody who can fire in the stuff to Jude Bellingham, who can set up Harry Kane, maybe some of that stuff will start clicking, and maybe we could score the goals that we've been desperately looking for.
Yeah, for an 18-year-old to do this, I know that we're in sort of across Atlantic, so there might be people watching this who don't know who he is. So I'm just going to quickly bring this up. So the guy on the left is Kobe Manu. He is a guy that is 19 years of age, plays for Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in professional football. And not even that, one of the biggest clubs in sport, with the revenue that they bring in. I'm not going to discuss any more about Man United after the interview that Sir Jim Radcliffe said the other day. He's fucked me off. And I'll go off on a rant about it. So I'm not going to say anything with that on that. That'll be for another day. But yeah, the guy on the right is Gareth Southgate, if you don't know already. 18 years of age. The guy is just absolutely ridiculous. This season, playing over 25 games in the league, 24 games in the league with 3 goals and 1 assist. He is a player who I would feel like you would go to, especially in an international tournament, that you would start and then bring on a defensive-minded midfielder later on, like an Adam Wharton from Crystal Palace, who can come in with Declan Rice to do that. I've seen a lot of people criticise Declan Rice for his side-to-side passing, but to be fair, if you look on the pitch, there's no one forward you can pass to because there's lack of movement from it. So it's one of those things when I look at it and I go, he is someone, but it's just 19 years of age. But then you've also got Spain. We've got Lamine Yamal, who's just turned 17, or he's 17 going 18. Now, that is a talent who needs to be talked about more. No, if you haven't seen, I have done a Football Manager save, right, on for Deportivo La Coruña, and I signed him on loan from Barcelona when I was the 3rd tier of Deportivo La Coruña. He was by far the star player. I tried to sign him up until we ended the series, and the 2nd season when I was like, I'll bring him on loan, they wanted 125 million. I'm in the 2nd tier of Spanish football. That ain't gonna happen.
Come on, that this is just trying to, set it up for a realistic feeling of football, because nowadays, as soon as somebody can get the ball past an opponent and maybe assist or score 1 goal, suddenly their value goes up like ridiculous amounts of money. The amounts that people pay for footballers in this day and age that are unproven talents, because they had 1 good season in the 2nd tier of some other country. Suddenly it's like, well, we're going to want at least 80 million pounds for this young man. Like, holy shit, you would have never been asking for that kind of coin on an unproven teenager back in the day.
You talk about that as well. If we're talking about unproven talent and doing it, Elliot Anderson from Newcastle is going to Nottingham Forest for £35 million. And the guy has played 21 times last season for Newcastle, and 20 of them were from the bench. And it's like, Anyway, go back to English football. But yeah, no. So it's one of those things. Like with Kobe Manu, Anthony Gordon is someone we need on the pitch as well. If you look at him, the way that he just shapes up defenders, and sometimes he may not have the pace, but he's going to run at you and he's going to give trouble. Cole Palmer should have scored in the last game when Harry Kane laid it off, or maybe Harry Kane should have slid through Kobe Manu. It's one of those things that you go, I understand why Kane, it was easier for him to flick it over to Cole Palmer, but needed more whip on it to do it. But who knows at this point? I'm interested to see. We've got 5 minutes until we find out the lineup. And I will be putting that on the screen as soon as I get a notification on my phone that it's live. Not that I haven't. Normally, I get told in advance. Talking of that, Kobe Manu starts for England in Euro 2024 last 16 game against Slovakia. Wow. Sky Sports have just learned. Fabrizio Romero. Kobe Manu's first start in a major tournament for Kobe. Right, we're winning. We've won. I am so confident now. My confidence was here, and now it's fully there.
If that kid comes on and scores or assists, like even 1 assist or 1 goal tonight, and his value is going to skyrocket beyond belief with only that 1 extra touch to his career so far.
Right.
All of a sudden, if Man United, even though they're not interested in selling him, if they were, they could start commanding somewhere towards those triple figure ridiculous numbers that people ask for nowadays.
As soon as he steps foot on that pitch, Man United will go 125 million. And Real Madrid will look at that and go,
yeah, sure.
Maybe.
yeah. And that's the problem, is because places like Real Madrid that have that kind of FU money to throw away all the time will pay it, which just ramps up the market that much more. So we see those ridiculous numbers coming in. I mean,
PSG, another one.
PSG, yeah. Bayern Munich, Barcelona. We could go on forever.
Have you seen the sign? We're going off on topic here, and I do apologize. Have you seen the signs Bayern Munich are making, by the way?
No, I haven't.
They are so fucked off that they didn't win the league that they're just buying everyone. And that they've just gone, fuck it. We haven't won the league. We've got Vincent Company as manager. We need to give him every tool to either fail or succeed. And I tell you what, they are going for it. We need to know what we need to do.
I got to ask you if you actually believe that paying the money for players is the right move, though, because it has not been beneficial to a team like Manchester United. It works in some cases, but a lot of the times it's like you can spend all the money in the world and those players don't make the difference. It's the mentality and the way things are being run that I think really decide whether or not a team can go. It's why we see upsets even in the Premier League. And like you're saying with this tournament, we're seeing some of the teams that you don't necessarily expect to perform because there suddenly starts to be this tight-knit group that works well together. They understand the football together. There is a certain mentality brought into the squad that clicks. And once that clicks, you can spend all the money in the world on all the best players in the world. But unfortunately, what you've got is 11 fielded players that are out there for themselves.
It all depends on the environment, right? You look at Real Madrid, probably the biggest work environment you'll ever go into. Like Kylian Mbappe is going from where he had control of everything to control of nothing, and all he needs to do is play football. But he has to understand that this is Carlo Ancelotti's team, and you have to do exactly what he says. It starts from Carlo Ancelotti, and it works down. You look at Bayern Munich; they never really spend money. They do it occasionally, but they never really go mental with the money they spend. But they saw what happened last season. They see the age of the team they're in, and they're changing it. Manchester United is one of those, and Chelsea is one of those environments where you look at it is rotten from the top down.
Yep.
And that is the problem. You can look at Manchester City. They will spend money. But tell me a player when they've spent a lot of money hasn't really worked out or hasn't delivered. You don't. Not under Pep Guardiola. No, João Cancelo, maybe. But
you hit the nail on the head when you said Pep Guardiola, because City, when they first started to get the influx of money and stuff like that, were spending on top players, and not all those players were ever performing properly as a team. It wasn't until Pep come along, and I got to give credit where credit's due. He's looking at the market in a totally different light. He's not looking to see how many 80 million, 100 million pound players that he can sign to Manchester City for the sake of selling shirts and, maybe affording a goal or two. He's looking at the market like, who do I think best fits the mold of my style of play? What fits the culture of Manchester City? And as much as I hate to admit it, because boo Manchester City, I hate the fact that I sit there and talk so positively about the style of football they play, because it's brilliant. Pep's a brilliant manager. He's done brilliant things with that team. And I'm not going to deny what I see with my own eyes.
See, the thing is when you go to a team like Manchester City or Real Madrid, you know what you're getting. You know your role. You know what you're going to have to do. Barcelona, not for the past few years, they've really lost their identity. Xavi brought that back, but now I don't know where they're going to go with this, with Hansi Flick. But it's one of those teams that you look at, and when you bring people in, you know exactly what you're going to get. And with Man United, you don't. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know the style of play. You don't know the players that are going to be there. You don't know if Erik ten Hag wants you to be front foot or he wants you to be defensive. It all starts from the manager. And this is Ten Hag. He's about to sign a new contract extension and get new coaching staff to be on his side. According to reports, it's going to be Ruud van Nistelrooy and the go-ahead Eagles manager that will be going to Manchester United as his backroom team. So this is the season now where they have to lay off players. There's a lot of players that need to leave, and he needs to bring in players, but he needs his style of football. No matter what happens, your own style of football. So I'm interested to see what happens and how this goes moving forward. But it is 4:00, an hour before kickoff, which means one thing and one thing only.
Lineup time.
Yeah, lineup. I need to find it.
It's coming. But yeah, no, I mean, and just while you're finding that too, I will just say that when it comes to them keeping Ten Hag and everything like that, I am in some ways like I understand that the problems exist and stuff like that, and I'm not defending him necessarily, because I mean he needs to find a voice and a style of play. It's something that is sorely lacking from the squad. I will give credit where credit's due. They're giving him another opportunity because he won the FA Cup, because the options are kind of thin for who wants to take that shit job as it is right now because of the environment there. Give him a chance. Give him at least till January. If by January they're still looking like the broken team they were last season, fine. Axe his ass, bring somebody else in for the rest of the season. But give him that opportunity, because that's the one thing United have lacked for a long ass time is consistency in management. It seems like the second that they start to fall on their face a little bit, all of a sudden it's like, oh, let's just get rid of the manager and start from scratch again. You know, had they done the same thing when Sir Alex Ferguson had his worst season with Manchester United, can you imagine how bad things could have been? Because that guy ended up being one of the most brilliant managers of all time. They would have not had that had they axed him when he had his worst season, which let's not deny ourselves. That was the second season for him as well, too. And it was bad. It was all kinds of bad.
Yeah, right. So the England team is in. And here it is. We've got Pickford in goal, Walker right back, and then Stones in defensive midfield with Rice in the defensive midfield. Stones, Mark Gay, two centre-backs with Trippier playing left back. Then we'll have Bellingham in the middle with Rice in the middle with Manu, and then Bellingham will go behind the striker, and then Foden with Saka on the right, Foden on the left, Harry Kane up top.
I love it.
Yeah, I think I would have taken Saka out, and I think I would have put Palmer in.
That's fair. Yeah.
Foden, I think I would keep in for the first half, and then I will replace Gordon with Bellingham coming up to like the 60th minute, and then put Foden just behind Kane for a bit of pace and direction towards it. But I quite like that.
I think it's an interesting way to take it to this game and see if it works. Maybe Manu is an answer to the problems that they're having. Maybe his creative passing will make a big difference in this particular matchup. There's only one way to find out. I mean, again, you could sit there and go, what do they have to lose? Well, they have to lose the game and get knocked out, certainly, but I don't think that's going to squarely rely on the fact that you put Manu out on that pitch. I mean, Manu is not going to be the reason that they end up losing. If anything, Manu might be the reason that they end up being able to win. But I wouldn't put the whole blame squarely on a teenage kid that you're putting out on the pitch, unless you were throwing out an inexperienced 18-year-old goalkeeper or something like that, which, you know, has unproven talent. That would be a different thing, because as a goalkeeper, you're that last line of defense, and wrong decisions can cost you games easily. Even as center backs can be one of those positions where it's a little bit more crucial to have at least some experience in that role to try to defend off anything coming in. The position that Kobe's playing in, I think, it does have some of that responsibility, but it also relies on a little bit more forward-thinking play and stuff like that. And I think that he fits that mold very, very well. And I don't think that him being out there is going to be a detriment to the team in any way. If anything, it's going to be a spark of light that we could use and might add some extra energy to the pitch that we, have been lacking so far in the tournament.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Completely and utterly agree. I'm just going to quickly do something. You move on to the next thing, and then we'll get back to England, because I've got to show something that should help of why you not let me press A, you prick? And I'll let you do that.
Yeah, no, we'll get to it right away too. The entire round of 16. We are talking about England right now, but I'll just recap who's in the round of 16 before we even talk about who's coming on. In fact, you know what? Maybe I'll get that graphic that you got for us here. Put that up on the screen. So this does not show who's qualified so far past the round of 16 from yesterday, but we will talk about that. But if you're looking at that list right there, we had games Switzerland versus Italy played yesterday, Germany versus Denmark. Both matches ended in a 2-0 victory. Switzerland knocking out Italy, Germany knocking out Denmark. Today we're going to see England versus Slovakia, which is the one we're talking about, and then Spain is taking on Georgia this afternoon. France and Belgium tomorrow, along with Portugal and Slovenia tomorrow. Romania and the Netherlands play Tuesday, and Austria versus Turkey on Tuesday as well, too. Then we got a little bit of a gap from there. We got games playing on Friday and Saturday in the quarterfinals. So bonus for us, Mark, next Sunday, we can talk right into the semifinals and talk about the quarterfinals. It's going to be a hell of a time. And then, of course, your final matchup is going to be played on Sunday, July the 14th, after we see Tuesday and Wednesday games in the semifinals. It's quite the lineup. It's quite the interesting tournament so far, and you never know where things are going to go. I just keep on praying that this year hopefully is England's year still.
Yeah, let's go back to this graphic, and we will go through this. Right, let's do a quick predictions.
Okay.
Let's see if we can do this together. France
Sure.
v Slovenia, I think that's who that is.
Which one? Sorry, the France game?
Yeah, no, the Spain game. Sorry, Spain versus Slovenia.
No, Spain's Georgia. Spain and Georgia.
Why has that got Slovenia there?
I don't know.
All right, let me go get a different graphic.
Spain, Georgia.
I'm not having that. Not having that. That graphic's done me dirty.
They just made assumptions.
Yeah, no bastard. Here we go. This is better. Let's go with this one. It's not going to be as quality, but this is where we're at, I think. Yeah, let's go with that. Spain v Georgia predictions.
Yeah, I got to go Spain. I like Georgia could be an upset, of course, but I really do feel like it's Spain. As Andre's trying to tell us, he's picking Georgia.
I've downloaded it and it's brought up. Oh, do you know what I've done? I bet you I've been an idiot and clicked on the same one twice. I bet you that's what I've done. I bet you that's exactly what I've done. I can see myself doing that. Yeah, I've done it. I've done the same one about 45 times. Yeah, no. So for me, I'm going to go a sneak. So who's gone for Georgia?
Andre said Georgia.
Do you know what? I'm not against that.
No.
If they play the way they played against Portugal, okay. Realistically, I'm going to go 2-1 Spain. Realistically,
yeah.
And but you've hit something there. Realistically, I'm going to go with 2-1 Spain. But I will also say I think it could easily be 2-1 Georgia in extra time.
It could be. And you know what the thing is Spain can't underestimate. That's the problem with some of these bigger clubs, is that they underestimate. They go into this thinking, we were top of our group. We're playing against the second team, a second tier team here that barely, got out of their group stages and nobody predicted they were going to in the first place. Here's the thing. Georgia could be the upset team. Georgia could end up being the team that makes it all the way to the final because teams are just underestimating. So hopefully, for Spain's sake, they don't underestimate them. As a fan, I think it would be hilarious if they underestimated them and Georgia put Spain out here today. Sorry, people of Spain. I just think it's funny when big teams that aren't England get knocked out of tournaments. I agree with you. I think I'm going to go 2-1 Spain as well, too. I think it's going to be a tight game, but I think Spain will edge it out.
Yeah. Okay, next one. We've had Germany versus Denmark. That was 2-0 to the Germans.
Then we've got over Italy. So
and then we've got Portugal versus Slovenia. Yeah. Who's your prediction for that?
But it's Portugal. Although, even though Portugal didn't win in the final game of their group stages, I still got to go Portugal on this one. I think Portugal are coming out all, firing on all cylinders. I'm going to even go as far as saying this one's a 2-0 matchup for Portugal. Yeah,
I'm probably with you on this one. I think Portugal will get to the semis. I think that's what I've just seen who they could be playing up against. Here we go. This is it. This is it. So I finally found it. So we've got Portugal now. Yeah, I'm going to go with 2-0 or 3-0 Portugal. Next up, we've got France versus Belgium.
Oh, this one's tricky. This one's really tricky because, again, Belgium came out of that group that was so even-steven throughout the whole thing. Every team got a win, a loss, and a draw, and it came down to point differential between all four teams, which was one of the wildest things I've ever seen. I fucking loved it in every sense of the word, because this was that group that we, even if you go back to a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about it, we had no idea.
No,
who is going to get out of this group? Who is going to get out of it? And it came down to that. And I was like, that's fucking magical right there. So, on paper, France should win. They should win. But I'm going to play devil's advocate and say that Belgium's going to come out and they're going to try to defend off anything that France could throw at them. I'm going to go with 1-0 for Belgium.
I'm going to go France. I feel like if the midfield of Belgium isn't sorted with the gaps that there is, Mbappe's going to have an absolute field day.
Yeah.
But if they sort it, they can have a chance. I'm going to go 2-0 France. I think that's where we're going to go. Next up, we've got Romania versus Netherlands.
And again, here's the other one from the Belgium group that's, like they finished in second, only on one goal differential between the two teams. So it's quite wild. And the Netherlands weren't exactly perfect by any means in their game, in their games leading up to this. As Andre saying, he's picking the Belgians. Fair enough, Andre. We're doing this. I'm still going to go Netherlands. I'm going to say it's going to be tight. It might even come down to penalties. That's how tight I think this game is going to be. But yeah, I am going to go Netherlands. And I'm going to call it. I'm going to call this one goes to penalty shootout. Netherlands win at a penalty shootout.
This comment is epic, by the way. Just epic. Love that. Absolutely awesome. Brilliant. I just saw that. I loved it. I'm going to go. It all depends on the Netherlands side that turns up. If this is the Netherlands side that went up against Spain, they went up against France. Netherlands should win this because that was a toe-to-toe game, not much in it, and good defensive work from it. But do I go rogue? I don't want to go rogue. I'm going rogue. I'm going 2-1 Romania.
Okay.
It's not going to happen. Next up, it's not going to happen now. I've said that. It's not going to happen. Next up, we have got Austria versus Turkey.
This is one of those ones, too, where I'm like, where do you go with this? It could go either way. But I think Austria is the easy pick, but Turkey are in this thing. I mean, they are there, but I'm going to go. I'm going to go Austria on 2-0. 2-0.
I think this is the most confident I've been out of most of the picks, and I'm going to go with Austria. This is the team that has impressed me the most out of every team I've watched during the Euros. The style of play, Ralf Rangnick making all of those haters and doubters from his time at Man United to shut up. And I said this when he was absolutely spot on with everything he said when he was at United, and he's showing. If you give him a team that plays to his way, you're going to have excitement, enjoyment, and pure football. And Austria, out of that side of the group, along with the Swiss, that I worry the most about for England, because both of them are very, very good and worry the hell out of me. But we've got the next game. Score prediction. We didn't do score prediction for that one. What are you going to go with? Austria, Turkey.
Oh, I said Austria 2-0.
2-0. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm going to go with 3-1 to Austria. I saw Turkey's game against Georgia, and I've just decided in my brain that they just go all out attacking football and they just don't give a fuck, and there's going to be loads of goals. And that's just my thinking behind that.
Sometimes the best defense is a good offense.
Yeah.
As they say. So.
Right. We've got England now in their game. Predictions. Now that we've seen this, what will this be?
So if this fires correctly, I'm hoping. I mean, again, I as an England fan, I got to be a little bit cynical and know that a lot of the times they disappoint us horribly. I still got to say, of course, I'm going to root for England, but I think that they can get past this one. I think it's still going to be tight, especially with the way they've been playing. 2-1 England. I think I'm going to go 2-1 England. I think Slovakia is going to get that early goal, and then England's going to be coming from behind to fight it, and I think that they're barely going to make it past.
Right, so... So Slovakia's last game, they drew 1-1 with Romania.
Mm-hmm.
Then they lost to Ukraine 2-1. And they drew... no, that's not them. Where are you? And they beat Belgium 1-0.
Yep.
I'm going, because I've seen... I got the prediction right last time on this show.
You did?
I still can't believe I got it.
It's such a disastrous way to... It's going to be a boring 1-0 game for England.
Do you know what the funny thing was? I didn't even know I said that until
Yeah.
you messaged me and then showed me the clip. I went, I said that? I went,
Well, no,
all right.
I'm noting it like 41 minutes into this game. If Mark makes the prediction again, that's going to be 2 for 2. What do you got?
Okay, so I'm going 3-1 England.
Okay. 3-1. Wow.
I'm going 3-1. I think Harry Kane's going to score. Jude Bellingham is going to score. And I think one of the substitute will come on and score as well. I think we might concede from a set piece. I think that is our worry. And I think at the back, we could be exposed just a little bit. But if we're on the front foot, which I feel like that's what he's gone for with Kobe Manu now being in the team and being very high press and everyone working together, because Foden goes for it, Bellingham goes for it, Saka goes for it. But then Rice doesn't really. He just sort of holds in to try and stop the passing lines. And I feel like with this tactical change, it feels like that's what they're going for. I'm going 3-1. I think we will smother them to a certain extent. And I think we will come out on top of this. That's my prediction.
I really hope if in fact I said 2-1, I hope you're right with 3 because it'll be a lot more exciting that way. Fuck yeah, I hope so. I really do because I'm going to be spending my rest of my morning here watching this and hoping for the best and praying. And as someone from England, an England football fan, how much nail biting we do watching England play all the time. And the worst thing we could do is go to penalties. The second England goes to penalties, my heart races faster than when I'm having a panic attack.
Do you know what?
Goddamn, penalties are not our friend.
I'm actually more confident now with penalties than I was before. After the Colombia game in the World Cup, where we beat them on penalties that we went through, and then we played someone else and then beat them, and then we lost in the final to a penalty against Italy, but they're Italians and that's what they do. It's like with the Germans as well. They practice penalty 24 hours a day. But this is, as I said earlier, this is the lineup I think England will be playing here today. So this is how I think it will start. And if you look at the right back where it says Walker, he will be pushing down right by where Saka is and slightly behind as well. Manu will not be there. He will be on this side, but he will be tucking in with Saka, sort of leaving up there with Foden's side, a little bit on the other side of Saka as well, sort of creating a little bit of like the one striker there. And then where it says Foden, Bellingham, Saka, you could easily put Manu there as well. And you're making 4 with Rice just sitting behind them. And I think that's how it will go, in my opinion. Because if you looked at the games before, Bellingham and Foden have been switching quite a lot during the times when they've been playing. And I feel like that's how it's going to go. If I show you, I've just quickly changed the graphic I just did to sort of explain what I'm trying to say. Just trying to get it up here. So I think that's how it's going to turn into. I think that's how it will turn into. I think it will then, when we're defending, it will turn into this. And then when we're attacking, it will turn into that. That's how I feel like it's going to go. And that's how I'm really excited for this game now. Now that I know Kobe's in it, I'm more excited now.
Well, and that's the best part about having a young teenager like Kobe Manu on the pitch as well, too, is that he's got that energy. You guarantee he's got energy for days at the age that he is, that he can make those forward runs, but also come back to help in position with Declan Rice as well, too. You've got Stones and Walker with the experience back there for any times that Kobe can't make it back in time and stuff like that. That we can rely on their strength to back that up and everything like that. So I think that it's a great strategy if that's what they're looking to do. And I think Kobe can make those great passes in. He's got a very intelligent, keen eye for making good passes and everything. So I think that he will complement that forward line while at the same time being able to track back to help with the defensive side of it as well, too.
I completely agree with that statement. Absolutely.
See, look at this. We can get along when it comes to international football. I mean, when it
comes to not wrestling.
Yeah, when it comes to club football, that's a different story. Yeah, wrestling. that's another thing altogether too. So
no, you will see how we don't get along next week. Not next week, the week after's videos. I'll tell you.
I mean, in kayfabe, of course. I mean, we're made for real, but I mean, kayfabe.
Absolutely.
You go fuck yourself. That's
yeah, exactly. And I expect that from you, and I appreciate that.
No problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up with English parents and stuff like that too. I know how to bust balls. It's all good.
Yeah, exactly. We all love busting a bit of balls.
That's right. Yeah.
That come out so much worse than
Yeah,
what
really,
did in my head.
Nobody clipped that shit. We're gonna get too much trouble there. Have those fucking pesky Google
Oh,
bots all
dear,
over us.
my brain. Jesus, Mary.
Oh god, yeah. You think that's bad? You should hear some of the raw footage of a PPW show and hear some of the shit that gets chanted at our wrestlers.
I am not even surprised as well. There's some of the stuff that you hear in England, like that would just be a normal. We would say stuff like that and then go pause and then carry on with it. That's basically what we do.
And here's the thing about, because I know this is completely off topic, but I think we're towards the end of this stuff here. We're gonna wrap up right away. So speaking of PPW, like the fans there have kind of taken on this mentality of almost like, I know it's not a big wrestling production because we're only allowed 300 people in the building that we're in, but they've taken on this mentality of like, just like in football and stuff like that, chants go on throughout the entire night. There's rarely ever even a moment's silence throughout the entire program. And one person comes up with one stupid thing to say and the whole crowd just rolls with it. They don't even think about it twice. Like last night, for example, Bucky McGraw's in a match. Someone yells out that he has a musky singlet. And for the rest of the entire match, that's all the crowd kept chanting was musky singlet the entire time. It's so ridiculous, but so funny. You know, El Asesino, I mean, he's referred to as Little Dick every time he's out there, and he kept asking the crowd why they were obsessed with looking at his dick and stuff like that.
There was a wrestler in NXT UK. I can't remember who it was, but he looked like Tarzan Jesus. And every time he come out, they were chanting, "He's Tarzan Jesus." And then James, it was with the Grizzled Young Vets. You've got the bald guy, Zach Gibson, and the other one. I can never remember the other guy's name at all. And he had like a silhouette of his face, right, on his trunks. And every time he wrestled, all you heard, and the whole way through his match was he's got his face on his ass, he's got his face, or the whole way through, and it just would not stop. And then the only time it would stop is if the English fans would turn around and go, "Shoes off if you hate Gibson," and everyone's shoes would come off and just point it in the air. I was like, this is British crowd for you. You just gotta love it.
Bobby, saying your thoughts on Sinner and Saint, Judas Icarus and Travis Williams being signed with TNA. They signed a couple of really strong spot monkeys to fill the spot of the previous spot monkeys that left the company. I'm sorry. These guys are good at doing moves. That's what they're good at doing. I don't consider them to be that great at wrestling because the fundamentals don't show, or at least they don't do the fundamentals. I'm not saying they don't have them. I just thinking that TNA signed them because they wanted a couple of guys that know how to do super kicks and jump off shit. That's how I feel about that one.
That's Jeff Hardy's career.
Pretty much.
I'm so sorry. If you're Jeff Hardy, I'm so sorry. It just come out of my mouth then.
You're not wrong, though. Again, like, Jeff has the fundamentals, but he doesn't use them. And he never really has. He's gotten by on being a stunt guy. It's same with Darby Allin. I mean, you can make the same argument there. It's like Darby Allin, the fundamentals are there if he was to ever use them, but he doesn't. And there's a lot of wrestlers out there that kind of play into this new sort of way of doing things, this kind of takeover of like, oh, all we need to do is the same sequence of kicks in a row and then follow that by jumping off something and everybody's going to love us. Problem is tell me that you ever remember a match by a lot of these people after it, like outside of going, holy shit, and seeing something they did that's crazy. Outside of that, tell me a match where you were like, wow, what a wrestling match that was.
I've given up on Jeff Hardy since probably about 2016. So for me, yeah, it's been one of those. And because I've just got back into watching TNA. Yes, people, I will be doing TNA shows on here. Because I've got back into watching TNA after not watching it for about 20 years or 15 years. And I was really excited for Against All Odds. I was like, yes, this is going to be epic. I'm really enjoying this. And then Matt Hardy turns up and goes, oh, no. And then Moose tries to wrestle. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, my God, Moose.
And then Jeff Hardy turned up at the end. And I was like, oh, please sign better talent, please. But there's Dijak there. Dijak is now free. Please sign Dijak. And
You have
down.
Hammerstone already. You have Josh Alexander. You could go
Mhm.
after Alex Kane. Alex Kane's hardly doing anything over at MLW anymore. Somebody sign Alex Kane already, please.
And the funniest thing is, you've got Alex Kane and Jacob Fatu, right? They've both sort of gone separately. Well, Alex Hammerstone and Jacob Fatu have could be interesting.
It'd be interesting if they had her there as a liaison to the women's division and stuff like that. I think Natalia is brilliant for ushering in new people and helping them out. So
absolutely, but you can't put a world title on her.
I don't think you need to.
No, it's one of those. And then I was like, you look at the presentations, right, between Alex Hammerstone, who was a cornerstone, as you kept telling me when he was in MLW, and how much you're able, and then Jacob Fatu, who is now, by the way, a psychopath. And I don't know. I'm going on a rant here because I haven't talked to anyone about this in a little while. But you've watched it. Did you watch the recent SmackDown?
Oh, of course,
right? Did you watch? You know when Solo's talking about? He's asked Tamatonga and Tongaloa to acknowledge him as the tribal chief, right? If you watch the background of Jacob Fatu. The man doesn't stand still.
No.
Right? He's pacing back and forth, and he's ready to like smack someone up. And I went and the entrance music and everything about him, I went, okay, we now have a new star. we have a new star here, and I'm loving Jacob Fatu so far, loving it.
And I mean, and he's a more dangerous Jacob Fatu because he lost the weight and turned it into muscle on top of it, so he looks even better than ever before. Here's the thing: is that's Jacob Fatu in a nutshell. And I said the second somebody signed him, they're on to one of the best in the world in terms of what he can do inside of a ring, the storytelling he can do, the fact that he makes himself look bigger than he actually is, because he's not a tall man by any means. He's a pretty average sized man, but he makes himself big in the ring with his facials and stuff like that too. When he was brought into MLW, same deal. He was brought in as this kind of scary, uncontrollable beast that had to have a handler, more or less. Joseph Samael, his good friend, they started Contra together when they came into MLW, was the mouthpiece, was the one that kind of kept Jacob under control until they needed to inflict damage. And when damage needed to be inflicted, Jacob Fatu inflicts the damage. Bobby saying, I'm interested to see who could be Jacob Fatu's first singles opponent. I think, again, they're either going to feed him
Kevin Owens,
some undercard talent or something like that, or else they're going to put him right into a spot with, a Kevin Owens or something like that kind of thing. And, sorry, Kevin Owens, sorry, KO, but you will be the first victim of Jacob Fatu on his way to the top of WWE. Yes, sir. Rich King did debut at PPW last night, along with Lumberjack Larry Woods. We had a couple of double debuts last night in the form of those two gentlemen, and yes, took off very well. Rich King, of course, shout out to RK Athletics. Rich King is personal trainer, and he's the one who's the personal trainer for our good friend Andre C here as well too. So, Rich King, great dude, except for when he's in the ring, he's a massive prick. But outside of the ring, when he's doing great things like training Andre, he's a wonderful, wonderful human being.
Yeah, that sums the English up. That does. That just sums us me. That sums me and everyone over here up. Just a massive prick. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Behind the scenes, the most lovely of people. Put them out on a pitch or something like that. Absolute pricks.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to change topics just for 2 seconds. I want to get a little bit more serious just for 2 minutes. And I want people here to understand something. So in England, I support a team called Reading. And we're currently going through a series of shit ownership. The owners defunding services, not paying players, not paying staff, and we were going through a takeover. When you go through a takeover in the UK or in Europe or in football, what happens is if the process of exclusivity, which means you're signing a contract that will say that all documents and everything have to go through this certain group, you cannot sign anybody. You're not allowed to sign anyone. You're not allowed to loan anyone. You're not allowed to do anything. What's happened is the owner has decided not to do anything, and I want to show you guys this. This is regarding the women's football, due to Reading Football Club. As of today, as of 2 years ago, Reading were fourth. No, 3 years ago, Reading were fourth in the Premier Division of it. We were fighting up against with the likes of Manchester City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, all of the big clubs that you could say Premier League clubs. In the space of 2 years and him making the club amateur, we have been relegated down to the Championship. And then it has been told today that we will now be falling to the 5th tier of women's football, which means every player will be up for sale. Every player can leave their contract. They will be a semi-professional team. The youth project for the women's will be stripped back. And what I just need from everyone here, I know some of you guys are across the pond and doing it. It's just to make you guys aware and to try and get the word out of what we're trying to do. We've protested, we've gone on the pitch, we've abandoned games, we're trying to get it, but we just need more and more people to understand that the mental health for fans in Reading is slowly going down. And we just want more and more people to be made aware. And we just want you guys to sort of, if you can, retweet whatever's been said about things so other people could see what's going on, and try and do something. I don't know what we can do. I try and put the word out on my YouTube channel, on my TikTok, and all of that type of thing. But it's gone to a bit of a shit situation. And I know we've only got a few minutes left of the show. And I just wanted to explain it to all of the people here today who will not understand or know who Reading is. And I just wanted to explain exactly what's going on. And if you see my Mark Talks football page get very, very angry, it's because of that.
Yeah. And I know we bust each other's chops over rooting for different teams and stuff like that. But I mean, again, I don't disrespect Reading at all. I mean, it's a club. I don't want to see bad things happen to them again, because I think that every team should be able to be out there fighting for their positions and stuff like that too. So again, support what you guys are doing and, you know, the passion that you have for your local football team as well too. So, I mean, my hat's off to you and all the best on that front of things. And one day when Reading finally make it to the championship and Manchester United
Champions League. We're going to beat Man United into the Champions League. It's going to happen one day. I fucking swear to God. I want to see my club play that champ before I die. It will happen once. I don't care when.
I was going to say when they make it to the championship and Man United get regulated there, then maybe they will get to see that matchup take place in the league together. But you know, that's beside the point. All the jokes in the world, all the jokes in the world about our clubs. You know, I only hope good for all English football in general.
It's happening more and more. It's happening more and more to more clubs. More clubs are getting into danger of non-existent anymore. The EFL, the English Football League, are doing fuck all to help anyone. The Premier League, the top six, tried to vote against putting bigger parachute payments down for the lower league teams so they can sponge the money more to themselves, but they don't realise that nearly 70% of players that are in the Premier League all come from the lower leagues. So they need to respect the English game, respect the English way of doing things and do it that way. But it's more about spreading awareness, spreading what's going on. But we've got the mighty English that are going to win tonight, 3-1. You can clip that and we're going to win it, aren't we, Bobby? We're going to win the whole fucking thing, aren't we? When we come back next week. When next week, is it after the semi-finals?
After the... Hold on here. I've got it right up in front of me here. So next week when we come back, we will... Yeah, so the semifinals are actually being played on July 9th and the 10th. So actually next Sunday. Or not... No, that's not next Sunday. Sorry.
No, next Sunday's the 6th or 7th, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at June here still. So if I skip down to the actual proper page, we are looking at next Sunday being just before the semifinals. But we'll have the quarterfinals will all be cleared up by Saturday, July the 6th. So on the 7th, we'll be talking about what happened to the quarterfinals, and then we're going to be moving on to talking about what we're expecting to see in the semifinal matchup. So, yes, go support England. Go watch them here. Under 25 minutes. Under 25 minutes.
I'm going to make a prediction.
All right.
Semi-finals. Clip this. Semi-finals are going to be England versus Austria.
Okay.
And on this side, it will be Germany versus Portugal.
Ooh, that would be interesting. That would be interesting. At 1 hour, 1 minute, and 20-some seconds, Mark makes his bold prediction. We'll see if that pans out for next week. But in the meantime and in between time, we are going to wrap things up here. Mark, why don't you let people know where they can find you?
Yeah, so you can see me on YouTube. I do Mark Talks Football, Mark Talks Gaming, Mark Talks Wrestling. Now, I want to talk about Mark Talks Wrestling because there's a certain thing coming up in about 2 weeks' time. You guys will be able to see it. Next week, we have got the build to War Games. Now, I'm going to do a little preference so you guys can understand what's going to happen in War Games. It is going to be Bobby Money Munson. I thought I've got to point in the opposite direction. There we go. Bobby Money Munson and Lauren Goodnight of MLW and AEW versus the greatest promotion of all time, WWE, which is moi. And it's going to be a build to War Games where the person who scores the most amount of points in War Games will take over their brand. So, this is how it's going to go. If I win, I will take over one MLW show and one AEW show. If I lose, I do not do anything, and Bobby Munson will take over one of my shows, and Lauren Goodnight will take over the other. So I have to win. The thumbnails are done. I've also slightly premature brought myself some champagne, where that when I win, I will be getting my wife to record me in the garden spraying it around. So that's just
You're gonna drown your sorrows in it when you lose.
That could happen as well. I could just stand in the garden and see that. To be fair, one of it's going to happen. But yes, so go and check me over on YouTube. I'm on TikTok. I'm on X. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. I think. Yeah, go and check it out.
You bet. Bobby saying great show today. Thank you, Bobby. Always appreciate you coming by for any of the shows. As for myself, where you can find me, if you're looking over on the X, it's at Real Bobby Munson, Instagram and Threads, Video Bros SK. Personal Twitch is Video Bro _ Bobby Munson. You can also check me out, as Mark said, over at Mark Talks Wrestling, doing the WWE 2K24 Universe mode. You're also going to be able to check me out Thursday nights with Papa Smokes for Ring Respect Radio. You can find me probably here next Saturday for Money in the Bank. I think, Mark, you're in on that. I know Kimmy Sokol's going to be joining as well, too. I mean, I got to rep Canada. I got, it's in our country this time, so it makes sense. As for tonight, AEW's Forbidden Door.
14 matches. 14.
I know.
14.
Here's the thing. I originally said to Andre that I was willing to do the post show.
14.
And I'm thinking about doing it, but good God, I have had little to no sleep in the last little while, and I've got an England match to watch right away here. So I will gauge my fatigue level on whether or not I can survive 14 wrestling matches.
When I saw someone post on the Discord, someone saying 14, I went, and then they showed the graphic, I went, fuck off. I mean, Jesus Christ. Right, by the way, I've just saw this on stream, like hard, right? This is my face when England lose.
Brilliant. All right. But yes, for anybody who doesn't know already, we are broadcasting on our local establishment. You can check us out on all social media as well as here on YouTube and Twitch. Make sure that if you're on YouTube watching the replay, that you leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up, click subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you can see more instances of that face being made by Mark. But that is going to be it for the show here today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Go, England, go. Get your asses out there and start watching and cheering as we head on over to do that ourselves. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next Sunday.